What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Top Deck TJ, and I am bringing you a deck profile of Darkworld. Darkworld is easily one of those decks that can make a terrifying board, or it can leave you with almost no cards. And I don't mean you, I mean the opponent. You get what I mean. Darkworld is also one of those decks that's been around for a very long time, and it recently got support, which made it so much better and much more interesting to play. Without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into some replays. Before we get to the deck profile, I just wanna welcome you to the Darkworld. In this first replay, I'm going to show you exactly how Darkworld can hand loop for 5. Pretty much the main goal is to get to Sylvia and Cerulli. Cerulli will be discarded, summoning itself to your opponent's side of the field, and then allowing Sylva to summon itself, force your opponent to put 2 of their cards back to their deck. As you can see, I'm going to start out with Gates of the Darkworld and then activate card destruction because I want to see what my opponent's playing and make sure I can get rid of some hand traps too. As you can see, I'm pretty much popping off with Genta and discarding the Grapha. I'm going to summon the Rainbow, bounce it back, and make pretty much all of the combos I can. As you can see, I also have Dangers in my hand, which is going to allow me to summon more bodies on field, draw more cards, discard more cards, and just gain a ton of advantage. Pretty much what I'm doing here is just digging for those resources of Sylva and Cerulli. These are going to really facilitate the entire game, especially going first and my opponent not hand trapping me at this point. I want to make it to where my opponent just cannot play. As you can see here, making the Giant Coach is going to allow me to draw 3 cards, and it'll allow me to see pretty much everything else that I need. I'm seeing the Accession, I'm seeing the Triple Tactics, which is actually the reason why I can hand loop for 5. And it's going to allow me to make such a big and ominous board that even no matter what my opponent draws, they're not going to be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Accession is going to allow me to discard multiple times, and that's going to allow me to be able to get rid of the Cerulli as well multiple times and summon the Sylva. It is just full combo. Full combo. Jumping in, you can see I have a bit of dangers. I'm going to start out with the Mothman, and it's going to get rid of the Rainbow. This will allow me to draw and search, which you can already see I have half the combo by searching the Sylva. And I'm going to go ahead and discard the Snow. I have the full combo here as long as I can discard the Cerulli. I can then discard the Sylva to summon and get rid of multiple cards. I'm going to use the effect of Saryuja to be able to dig further, and I'm going to go ahead and use it to summon the Cerulli. It does not matter because I'm going to bounce it back, and I'm going to continue to make combo here. Archives is going to allow me to discard that Cerulli, and then Cerulli will discard the Sylva, and this will be the first time that I'm going to get rid of 2 of their cards. The Saryuja is going to keep activating its effect because each time something gets summoned to its zone. Here, I do realize I'm not playing the best either because I could have truly played into the Magician Knight a little bit better, but p.u.n.k does the same thing for Cerulli and is going to allow me to discard it and get its effect and do stuff anyways, because p.u.n.k allows you to summon fiends, and as long as I could recycle certain fiends, I could make full combo. And as you have it, I leave my opponent with just a trade-in.
I heard you're trying to get into the Darkworld. I don't see your name on this list.
I will now be showcasing the Darkworld deck profile, and I will talk about some ideas and things that I might want to change, but let's go ahead and jump right on into it. As you can see here, I am playing 3 copies of Rainbow, 2 copies of Bigfoot, 1 copy of Thunderbird, and 3 copies of Grapha for all of my level 8s. I didn't really want to max out on too much of the dangers as they feel a little bit more clunky. I might cut a Grapha because sometimes seeing it in your opening hand without searching it can be really troublesome, but it's not the terrible or worst thing to discard. I am playing 2 copies of Nessie. This is the Searcher of Dangers, so there's no reason not to play it. I just don't feel like you need to max out on it again because I don't want to see too many copies. I am playing 2 copies of Sylva because it is easily searched either through Rainbow or Snow, so I don't have much trouble seeing it. I am playing 2 Mothman. Mothman does allow you to discard in multiple ways, which is why I thought playing more copies would be beneficial. But it's pretty much just a monster version of Darkworld Dealings with an extra added effect. I am playing 3 copies of Snow. Snow is one of the best, if not the best, searcher for Darkworlds. I am playing 1 copy of Beige. You can either normal summon it, special summon it, discard it. You can do whatever you want with it. It is one of the best lower level Darkworlds. I am playing 1 copy of Blackwing Zephyros. Zephyros allows you to bounce 1 face-up card to your hand as cost, so unfortunately not link monsters, but then you get to special summon it and take 400 life points of damage, which is a free special summon and an easy link fodder monster. I'm playing 2 copies of Salamander. I feel like if you see a copy of Salamander in your opening hand, you're doing pretty well, because not only do you get to special summon a monster for free, but you probably get a Darkworld's effect off as well, which can be very beneficial for the early game. I am playing 2 copies of Chupacabra. Chupacabra is actually really good in this deck because it allows you to either special summon a danger from the graveyard, or it'll allow you to discard and draw as well, which means you get so many effects and so many links and so many monster and danger. I also played 3 copies of Genta. I want to see Genta all the time, so maxing out on it means pretty much everything. You want to see your Gates of the Darkworld, you want to be able to cycle through multiple of them, and it just allows you to discard and summon so many different times. I am playing 1 copy of Danger Jackalope and 1 copy of Danger Sunoco. They are easily the best dangers, and the reasons why they're limited, they're just too good. I also play 1 copy of Darkworld Ceruli. Ceruli is the soul of the entire combo and reason why you're able to hand loop your opponent. It is because it allows you to discard Silva and then forces Silva to not only special summon itself, but it can rip 2 cards from your opponent's hand by their choice. And if you do this multiple times, you can leave them with 1 to no cards. I do play 3 copies of Allure. Allure allows you to draw multiple cards, and there have been games that I've just activated it, drawn 2 cards, banished a Genta, summoned a Genta, and then continued on with the play. I am also choosing to play multiple copies of Triple Tactics Talent. The funny part is that Ceruli activates, and it's an opponent's monster that is activating, so you get to activate Triple Tactics Talent on your first turn, which is pretty broken. I am also playing 1 Card Destruction. Card Destruction is just too good not to play in this deck. It allows you to get so many effects, reset your hand, and see what your opponent is playing, or maybe just continue to piss your opponent off. I am playing 1 copy of Charge into the Darkworld. It is just a free reborn and allows you to summon a Darkworld and then continue to bounce it back because of Rainbow and Grappa's infinite loop and just effects and card's too good. I am playing 1 Darkworld Ascension. I never get the card's name right, but the card is way too good not to play. It is a free fusion summon and a free multi-discard. There's no reason not to play this. I am playing 1 copy of Archives. Archives is really good, but it's also searchable, so there's no reason to really play multiple copies. You're also going to draw a lot, so you're bound to see it at least once or twice per your match. And lastly, I am playing 3 Gates of the Darkworld. Not only do we play a monster discard that discards itself to search the card, but Snow searches it, and like it just facilitates so much. You get to banish a card, discard a card, draw a card, like, you know, and do things. Moving on to the extra deck, we played 2 copies of Grappa the Dragon Overlord. Of the Darkworld, and he allows you to discard cards for free by your opponent's effect, because that's how he negates things, and that just means that you could summon Silva and loop your opponent on their turn. On their turn. We play 1 copy of Coach King Giant Trainer. It's a free draw 3 and skip your battle phase, but going first, that doesn't really mean much to you. You're trying to hand loop your opponent, and drawing 3 cards, you're bound to see at least a good chunk of the combo, if not your searchers. We also play 1 Daggers. I will never know how to say this card's name either, but it is a free draw 2 and a discard, which is a lot for this deck as well. We also play 1 Underworld of the Goddess. Underworld of the Goddess is really easy to summon in this deck. You can easily put 4 or 5 monsters on board, and if your opponent has a monster, you only need 4. We do play 1 copy of Saryuja. Saryuja allows you to draw multiple cards and shuffle some cards back, but it also allows you to summon a monster from your hand, which in this deck means a lot and is pretty easy as well. I also play 1 copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is easy to make in this deck, and you can easily make it with 3200 attack, which means it can negate 4 different monsters. I do play 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn and 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix. They are pretty generic links and very easy to make. They also do provide some utility, so there's no reason not to play them. I am playing 1 copy of Dark the Dark Charmer. A lot of decks do play a dark monster, and it's really easy to make in this deck, as every monster in this deck is a dark monster except Salamander. We do play one copy of Akashic Knight. Akashic Knight allows you to bounce the Ceruli back and then later on in a combo discard it again to be able to summon it back to their side of the field and discard more cards. And not only does summoning Ceruli give you that effect, but if you're playing against a Kashtira player, it gives them a monster, which means that they won't be able to special summon a monster for free. I'm also playing one copy of Nightmare Cerberus. Sometimes you want to kill a monster, and making Nightmare Cerberus is one of the easiest ways. It is also a fiend, so if you're locked into fiends for any reason, you can just summon this anyways and continue on. We do play one copy of McCraker. McCraker does allow you to discard and then summon a fiend monster from your graveyard. It does then lock you into fiend monsters, which is where that Cerberus would come into play, but it is a free special summon and a discard, which provides some more utility. I play one copy of IP Masquerena because on some boards you might want to make it, depending on the game, you might want to make it, and depending on what you're playing against, it might provide some utility and allow you to make some other links on your opponent's turn. I'm also playing one Cross Sheep because there are times you could just make the Cross Sheep, summon the Grapha Fusion, and then summon a monster from the graveyard for free, which does provide even more links into maybe a Nightmare Unicorn, or if you have more monsters into like a Saryuja or a Appaloosa. Overall, I think this deck is really solid. The only bad part is this deck loses to Nib so hard unless you can make the Appaloosa or the Grapha on the 5th or 4th summon, but that can be very hard considering that Appaloosa needs 4 monsters. So this deck also does lose to Lancia or anything that banishes like Shifter, so there's that. But on the bright side, if you can get the combo off, you can really piss your opponent off because they won't have much cards to play with. And with that being said, guys, if you guys enjoyed this deck profile, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know how I did down in the deck profile or how you like the deck itself. And
welcome to the Dark World.